The closed alpha for Diablo Immortal is launching today, and I have all the details, all of the information that you need to know inside of this video. What is up, my friends? My name is Echo, and welcome back to the channel where we have news today, legit, real news about Diablo Immortal, because it's back. It's back in the form of a closed alpha, which means it's going to be available to many people. We're going to have people, I believe, in Australia, as well as a handful of other content creators and others chosen that have been pre-registered to participate in this closed alpha. And from what we've been told, from what we've heard, this should be lasting between 1 and 3 months. So no, we're not talking about a quick alpha like we saw from Diablo 2 Resurrected. We're looking more at something that is a long term, and there's a reason for this. There are some systems being implemented into this game that Blizzard wants to test out, and those systems take quite a while to develop and to process through. We're gonna get into all of that right here, and let's start off with some of the new features we're gonna have. One of them is a new class, and you guessed it. Well, did you guess it, I guess? We're gonna be getting the Crusader class inside of this closed alpha. Finally, I'm gonna get my hands on the Crusader. I'm going to take the Crusader to the end game up into Paragon, and you guys are gonna get to see it all in action. Super excited about that. Literally cannot wait to play the Crusader. By the way, there is so much to talk about inside of this video. It is going to be a longer video, and I have 3 pages of notes to explain to you guys all of the features coming. In a video following this one, I'll be breaking down each of these things individually, but right now I want to give you everything inside of this one video. So let's continue going. If you like this stuff, if you want more Diablo Immortal, please subscribe to the channel. Please ring the bell so you don't miss out when I bring you this epic content, because we're doing it every single day. Now, we're gonna have new legendary items and new legendary gems inside of the game as well. Already, the game not even out, and they're adding updates to stuff that was already in place, but they're just making it even better, which is pretty darn incredible. They're also bringing us a new Paragon tree, which I don't yet know what it entails, what's part of it, but there is gonna be another Paragon tree, and we're getting 2 new extra skills per class, new quests, more bounties, and like we said, it's gonna last for at least 1 month, up to 3 months time, actually having our hands on this, what is it, closed alpha. Now, before we come into these brand new features coming to the game, I mean, yes, of course, we do have the new Crusader class, which is huge. It's incredible, and I can't wait to get into it. There are some changes to the way that things work in the technical alpha regarding legendary crests. Yes, I know many of you may be happy about that, but we have more rewards coming from Elder Riffs in general. So basically, no crests, no rare crests, no legendary crests. You're going to get more rewards just in general from running those Elder Rifts. You're going to be getting more rare crest drops in game, so you're going to be getting more of those rare crests just from playing the game. And there's going to be a small increase in the legendary drop chance from rare crests. So I believe in all of the technical alpha, only 1 person got a legendary gem from a rare crest, and that's going to be increased so that we see that more randomly dropping, which is going to be incredible to get them basically for free without having to run into any legendary crests along the way. Legendary gems, they're going to be amazing. We have challenge rift rewards are based on your previous individual day's performance. So challenge rifts, which are different from Elder Rift. Remember, in an Elder Rift, you're gonna be going through and getting rewards throughout and at the end of that rift. But in a challenge rift, you're actually going against time and score, and you're gonna get rewards at the end of the day for how you place and how you perform based on your previous performances. No longer is it gonna be focused on how you do compared to how other people do. It's more about your individual performance, which is really nice. There was quite a bit of concern about who was gonna be on top of the leaderboards based on gear you had. So now this kind of balances things out a little bit and makes it more of a challenge within yourself. We are also getting 1 new dungeon, which has an incredible name, by the way, and 2 new zones. Let's talk about the dungeon first. It's named Cavern of Echoes. Yes, it's called Cavern of Echoes, and it's said that at the end of this dungeon, there is an epic, boss fight, one that is going to be incredible and difficult. So I can't wait to see what the Cavern of Echoes holds, and I can't be happier that Echo is somehow implemented into Diablo Immortal. Super stoked, even though it has nothing to do with me. We're gonna pretend that it does, at least for right now. Also, I mentioned we have 2 new zones, so basically we're looking at level 45 to 50, because if you recall, the technical alpha went from level 1 to level 45. Now we got another zone, which is 45 to 50, and it's called Mount Zevian, and it's the home of the monks. This is where the monks reside. I don't know what it looks like yet, but I can't wait. Actually, by the time you're watching this video, I should probably, not definitely, but probably have my hands in the technical alpha and start to be able to check out this stuff. Remember, we have to go in from stage 1, starting all fresh, all over. So we're gonna have to grind all the way to the top to see these new stages as well, plus many of the other things that I'm about to mention. Plus, we got another zone, and it's the home of the barbarians, level 50 to 55, and it's called the Frozen Tundra. It's my home. It's the home of the barbarians. I'm super excited about that, but it's time that we step back, sit back, and open your ears for what has blown my mind. Because if we thought we had a full game before, let's talk about some more PvE and some more PvP coming to Diablo Immortal. So many new things. So just to recap with you guys, we have a new dungeon, 2 new zones, they reworked how the whole crest system worked, and the Crusader. If that's not enough for you, there's more, and a ton more. So let's dive into it. Let me introduce you guys to the Heliquary. This is a PvE game mode which unlocks at level 42 plus. So you need to get yourself pretty near where we were at the end of Technical Alpha to even participate in these PvE events. They are a series of difficult, hard, challenging boss fights, and 2 are added for the closed alpha. It's designed to be super difficult, and it's a benchmark against your gear and the builds that you put together inside of the game. A really cool thing here is that every single month, there's gonna be a new boss added. So this is gonna always change, always be updated with new challenges for you. And of course, you can go into these with your friends, with your clan mates, and go in these battles together, or you could try and solo it. I'm sure people are gonna be able to do it because people are gonna be OP, but this has been said that it's gonna be a very difficult thing to beat. It's gonna be very hard. And you're gonna get trophy rewards, additional boosts if you do happen to do it. You can play alone, but it's probably better and smarter, at least in the beginning, to play with a group. Now we have some more lore coming to the game as well, and then I'm gonna get into the biggest and most crazy feature that was announced. Now let's talk about the lore. I'm actually gonna kind of read it here because I don't have it memorized, but we have Diadessa, who's the builder. They wanted to protect Sanctuary. She created the Eternal Crown, which she gave it to her son, Keon, which we're gonna see that a little bit later as well. And he was charged of protecting Sanctuary from hell. He created a guardian group called the Immortals. This is important because this is telling us why Diablo Immortal got the name Diablo Immortal. Now, Diadessa also put her daughter Akiba in charge of another group that's called the Shadows. So right now we have the Immortals and we have the Shadows, which are going to directly play into the next game mode that I mentioned is inside of the game, called the Circle of Strife. I know you have no idea what that is. It is so in-depth, and I'm gonna do my best to explain it to you guys right now. So the Circle of Strife is a server-wide, faction-based PvP end game mode that you would opt into by choice. You do not need to participate in this, but there will be heavy rewards if you do. But if you just want to grind the game, play normally and just play through, you don't have to take part in this. There is no requirement to do so. The mode is going to give you both player versus player and player versus environment activities that can lead to permanent glory. And this is 100% true and also 100% incredible. Your glory, your success is actually going to be etched into the server forever. Now remember, we have between 20,000 and 50,000 players per server, and as many servers as there are going to be different Cycle of Strife events going on in each of them. So each server stands alone in here. Now, I mentioned Immortals and I mentioned the Shadows as well. We're gonna get a little bit into that right now. This is an opt-in basis. and it's like a tug of war battle. You have the Immortals who have the power, and you have the Shadows who are trying to get that power, and it's expected to last for 1 to 3 months, this struggle, this tug of war battle. Now, it's not actually tug of war, but you could understand what I mean by that analogy. This is why the technical alpha needs to last for this amount of time, because they need to see out how this Circle of Strife system works. And if it works out well, if they get to see it in completion, they could say that they've completed the closed alpha, and they could go back into developing until they come back with another version of alpha. You can only group Immortals in a server up to 500. That's right. The Immortals are maxed. They're capped out at 500 players as the Immortals. The Shadows, unlimited, which means you can have 500 Immortals trying to protect everything that I'm about to share with you from the rest of the server, which could be tens of thousands of players. Sounds pretty exciting. Now, the goal here is for Immortals to remain Immortals, which means they want to continue winning, the things that we're about to discuss, and the Shadows want to become Immortals. So they want to defeat the Immortals so they can then become the Immortals, because the Immortals are the ones that have the glory, that have the power, and that are basically the best inside of the server. Now, if you remember, I mentioned that you don't have to participate in this. You lose absolutely nothing if you completely ignore the Circle of Strife and don't do it at all. You lose nothing, but you also won't gain the fruits of participating in this either. Totally cool. Depends on you, your gameplay style, and I guess even what accounts you want to participate in what. I'm going to be jumping into the Circle of Strife, but let's get into more details before I talk about what I'm going to do. Now, I mentioned that you don't have to participate. If you're someone that's not participating in the events at all, you're not going to be an Immortal, you're not going to be a Shadow, they're going to be calling you adventurers. Basically, adventurers are people who are sitting it out, not participating, and you could choose to be an adventurer at some point, and then you could opt yourself in for another season of this as well. So if you don't have the time that month, or you don't want to participate for a while because you're doing other things, you don't have to always be participating in these, because it is a cycle. Remember, it's going to go between 1 and 3 months, and then the cycle will repeat itself. Now, at the end of that cycle, let's assume that some of the Shadows somehow won over the Immortal role. They will automatically be enrolled as Immortals in the next season, but people that are not, people that are just Shadows, they're going to be dropped back down to Adventure, and then they're going to have to opt themselves back in if they want to continue participating. The only ones, at least to my knowledge, remember, this is all alpha stuff, and I haven't actually gotten my hands on it yet, so to be honest with you, understanding at some points can be a little bit blurry, but if you are an Immortal, you're automatically opted in because you have to hold that reign. If you're a Shadow, you just opt yourself back in at the start of a next season. Now, once you decide to become a Shadow, you can't be dropped. You're locked in, you're set to go. But Immortals have the ability to drop in and out, letting other Immortals take their place. There are 500, but it seems that there's some type of a mechanic, again, that I haven't yet gotten my hands on, that allows someone in charge, the lieutenants of those Immortals, to be in charge of their roster. Now, if I haven't yet told you guys enough, we have a whole bunch of Immortal and a whole bunch of Shadow activities, what you're actually doing as an Immortal or a Shadow. So first of all, if you are an Immortal, you can be put on the Wall of Honor. This is basically a trophy board inside of Westmarch that can be viewed by everyone to see who the best Immortals are inside of the server. It's going to be awesome because you could also get cosmetics, different gear, better gear for being one of the leading Immortals, and one of the best lieutenants, one of the leader of the Immortals is going to have their own statue in Westmarch. So you could literally have a statue for between 20 and 50,000 people to see of you, because you and your character have done that well and put that time in. Now, we talked about Kion a little bit before. He's in charge of the Immortals, and he has an event that goes on for Immortals, and it's called Kion's Ordeal. Let me explain to you what this is all about. It's a 48-player raid, 4 groups of 12. So the 48 players are broken up into 4 different groups of 12 players. They're going to be attacking bosses all at the same time, but in 4 separate groups. That's how we get the number of 12. Each boss has to be killed around the same time, or else the others are going to get stronger, and there's some type of portal system that gets you involved in this in the first place. But what are the rewards from participating in Kion's Ordeal? Well, we have some faction-wide buffs that are going to be going on in rewards. So we have the Blessing of Deadessa. It increases Elder Rift rewards. So if you participate in this and do well, you're going to get for your faction better rewards from Elder Rifts for everyone in the server who is not a shadow. And that's what's great. If you're not a shadow, does that mean adventurers too? That I'm not sure of. I would assume it only means immortals. So for all immortals, you would get that buff. You must be refreshed every 7 days or every 7-day period if you want to keep it. This means if you don't refresh it, that buff to the Elder Rifts, it goes away. And I love this because it's gonna entice you to play more of those Elder Rifts to get more of those rewards. Increases the immortals' dominance in that faction progression. So I love this event. It's going to be fun to do itself and then offer you buffs to your class just from participating and doing well in it. So the Immortal Vault, this is a vault that's going to hold all of the rewards and riches that you get from those Elder Rifts. And after a week's time, mind you, this is only for the immortals, after a week's time, if the vault is still intact, you're going to then split those rewards with all the other immortals. But what does it mean if it's still intact? That's where the shadows come into play. Now, there's going to be a bunch of immortal buffs that you get just from participating in this stuff. The lieutenant, who is the leader of everyone, is going to be getting some massive buffs. There's a list here in front of me, including area of effect buff, a bunch of gear that they're going to be able to get as well. I don't need to go into details about that. We'll do that in another video. But it's nice to know that if you're an immortal, you're basically given this recognition for being super strong and super great. So you're going to get those rewards for it. But we want to talk about the shadows and what they can do with the vault. So the shadows can form dark houses. What is a dark house? It's not a clan, because we have clans in Diablo Immortal, but dark houses are like sub-clans. They're little guilds, and you can put these together, and inside of those little guilds, you can try and plot against the immortals, try and set up some attacks to take them down, because at the end of the day, as a shadow, you want to become one of these immortals. So there's other events that go down for you to get the opportunity to be able to take them down. Now, the dark houses can get a little bit confusing because you can only get involved with them twice a week with an 8-hour window on Wednesdays and Saturdays. The time says 2 to 10 p.m. I'm not sure if that means Eastern or Pacific time. Not 100% sure on that just yet. And that is when you can create or join a dark house. You don't have to join. You can be houseless and still be a shadow. This is just a way for you to get together with others as you're playing as a shadow. And if you decide to go houseless, if you want to be all on your own, the rewards are basically the same. You get a little bit more rewards for being in a house, but nothing worth writing home over, at least not from what I've heard. Now let's talk about the shadows raiding the vault. Remember, we mentioned a few minutes ago that the vault is where the immortals store all their loot that they get for Elder Rifts. Doesn't seem fair that only 500 people in the server have the right to get this loot. But the shadows, who can be the rest of the server, everyone else, has the ability to raid the vault. And this is such a cool mechanic. It's PvE and PvP. So let me explain how this happens. You and up to 3 other shadows can go in and attempt to steal the loot out of these vaults. Whatever it looks like, if it's a big chest, if it's a big cave that you have to go into, I'm not even sure yet. But it's going to be protected by NPCs, by basically computer game demons, monsters, or guardians protecting this stuff. But that's not it. Once you begin raiding these computer enemies or these computer protectors, if I'm an immortal and I have my beasts protecting my stuff, as soon as they get attacked, my phone or my device will get a notification that we're being raided. And if I would like to participate, I can hop in and protect it manually, PvP, where I am going to be going after, as an immortal, the shadows that are trying to steal my loot. And that sounds incredible. That sounds like a ton of fun. Now, if the shadows do defeat the immortals, then no other shadows can enter, and they get to take all that loot. They get to loot that vault, which obviously, as an immortal, you don't want that to happen. You put in your time grinding those Elder Rifts to get those rewards. The last thing you want to do is give it to those dirty shadows. You want to hold that for yourself. You don't want to let it go. So when you hear that notification, you better hop online, get in there, and fight for what you've earned. So let's talk about the final event that goes in. This is directly Immortals versus the Shadows. We're gonna have an event that's called the Rite of Exile, and what this is the 10 top dark houses. Remember, we're talking about creating those dark houses just a few moments ago. The 10 strongest ones are gonna be able to choose 8 of their strongest members. Those 8 members are going to be facing off against 8 immortals that are chosen by the immortal side. The Shadows and immortals will face off in 10 separate 8v8 PvP battles. That means player versus player. No computer stuff, no phone stuff. It's all 8 players from here versus 8 players from here, clashing to see who's victorious. And this is where we decide who remains immortals and who is actually dropped down to being a shadow or being an adventurer that doesn't participate at all. This is where the Shadows are able to grab their glory and become immortals. Out of the 10 battles, if half of them are won by the immortals will remain and hold that rank of immortal. But if the Shadows come in and the Shadows take a majority of those victories in the 8v8 battles, the Shadows will then be upgraded to the Immortals, and the Immortals will drop down and lose that reign. This is the direct PvP that we've been talking about. We talked about it as guild versus guild before, but really it's going to be Immortals versus Shadows, a brand new element to the game that we weren't even yet expecting. I can't wait to dive into this game mode, to actually get in there, test it out, and be able to share it all with you guys so you could have literally a full, complete understanding. Because let's be honest, guys, I don't even have the full understanding yet, and I can't wait to. And now, for those of you that aren't participating or that just want to play around, there is a Battleground, and this is exciting as well. It's accessed in West March, it's public, there's no private matches, and it's available to anyone. You don't have to be involved in the Circle of Strife at all. You don't have to be a Shadow or an Immortal. Anyone can participate in this for fun. It's basically the Rite of Exile, but practice mode. So it's going to be 8 versus 8. You have your attackers and you have your defenders. You can queue it up whenever you want to play single or as a group. So really, it's a PvP lobby that you guys can go into called the Battleground inside of West March to either just have some PvP fun or prepare for the Circle of Strife when they get to the Rite of Exile mode towards the end when you're trying to gain that immortal, what is it called? Legacy. So guys, that was a long video. It literally told you everything that I've learned about the closed alpha that is now here, or very soon going to be here, for Diablo Immortal. I plan on having my hands on this game every single day, bringing you guys videos on it every single day, breaking it down so that when you get your hands on it, you know exactly what you're doing and you could dive right on in with the most experience possible. Hopefully a handful of you guys get your hands on the closed alpha as well, because I would love to play alongside some of you guys. And Cavern of Echoes, I mean, that's pretty awesome that we have a Cavern of Echoes. Just saying. I also want to remind you guys that on Sunday, myself and Nemo are going to be back with the Immortal podcast, breaking down all of this for you with footage of the newest class inside of Diablo Immortal, which is the Crusader. I'm going to be grinding that one myself personally, and I will bring you my footage so you can see all of it. In addition to that, every single day, I'm going to have another video for you guys breaking down all of the new features and even some of the old inside of the game so that you can have that great understanding. I hope you stuck around this far. Actually, guys, if you made it this far, can we get a hashtag made it in the comment section? I want to know how many of you actually made it to the end of a 25-minute, 30-minute video. Very long, shorter, more detailed ones coming very soon. Remember, guys, if you have any questions, you can come through my Discord server. It's the pinned comment, or it's in the description of this video as well, where we can talk about, you can ask me questions regarding Diablo Immortal and this closed alpha. I'm so excited. I'm just gonna go play the game. I'll see you guys later, and be good.